It's been long awaited, but it is finally here. Carnival Cruise Line releases its plans for the rest of the 2021 year. Finally, they shared which ships would return and sail with paying passengers. They also released their protocols for the rest of the year. There were a lot of surprises. Let's talk about everything right now on Island Time. A big hello to all you Islanders. We have made it to Friday and it is a holiday weekend. How about that? I hope you have something planned this weekend. I hope you're off work. I hope you're off work on Monday and you get to spend time with friends and family. We are excited to do so. We're going out of state, taking a small road trip. I hope you get to do something as well. It's Island Time, and this is your host, Derek. We have so much to talk about. It is great to spend some time together right here in the islands. And there's so much news. There really is. You probably remember August the 27th, the CDC came out with some new guidelines, some new recommendations. And we had a video on those recommendations. And for the most part, cruise lines were already doing what the CDC was recommending. You probably remember with masking, they said effective immediately. We recommend that passengers wear masks in certain areas of the ship. Areas that are maybe more crowded than other areas. Areas where people are together, like in the casino, waiting lounges, elevators. And we said, cruise lines are already doing this. Cruise lines are ahead of the CDC. But there was one small detail that we reported on, but I really didn't think would come to fruition, and it did. The CDC said that it advises, starting on September the 13th, that passengers present a negative COVID test within 48 hours of sailing. And we said, well, that's kind of weird because cruise lines are already doing that. It's 3 days, but they're requiring a test. Well, yesterday, Carnival Cruise Line came out and they announced their protocols. They announced the ships that are coming back. They announced the protocols for the rest of the year, and they are adopting this recommendation, which really they kind of made it sound like it was a requirement to cruise. It was framed by the CDC as a recommendation, but whatever the case, it is being adopted by Carnival Cruise Line. Let's talk about these new protocols and everything right now. First, let's hear from Christine Duffy. As we always try to, let's get the word straight from the president and CEO's mouth. Here's what Christine Duffy had to say about the news on yesterday. We are very pleased with the progress of our restart, which will grow to 15 ships sailing from 7 U.S. home ports by mid-November. She also said we are making slight adjustments to our timeline to take into account supply chain realities and ensure that our destination and shore excursion offerings can meet the strong demand we are seeing from our guests. Our teams, ships, and more are prepared to continue delivering on our great guest experience and manage all health and safety protocols. So it was good news for a lot of people yesterday, but there were several surprises. There's bad news for some people as some ships are not coming back. And we finally see for the first time this egregious goal that Carnival Cruise Line had to return all ships in 2021 is not going to make it. They're going to fall short. We've always said this was a huge goal, and they were the only cruise line to say that they were going to do it. But it's simply not going to happen. We know now, and we will get into those ships here in just a second. Let's get straight into the facts. We know what cruising is going to look like. If you're cruising with Carnival the rest of the year, we know what it's going to look like. Now, we also know that it can change at any time, but at least for those cruisers who were cruising in November and December and did not know certain protocols and if their ship would come back, we know now. It's comforting. And at the same time, you either found confidence and comfort and you know that you're going to cruise and you know what you have to do to cruise, or you see what you have to do to cruise and you can now make a decision that, hey, that's not for me right now. I think I'm going to cancel. I'm going to postpone. Maybe I'm going to go to all-inclusive. You now know. So there's a lot of peace today. Even if people are upset in some of the decisions, they at least now know maybe what their vacation will look like in November and December. We now know that Carnival is indeed going to require that passengers show proof of vaccination through the rest of 2021. You're going to have to answer questions that, yes, you are indeed vaccinated. When you show up to the terminal, you are going to have to show your original vaccine card that shows that you've been vaccinated, you've had either the one-shot Johnson & Johnson, the two-shot method, and you've waited 14 days. That is going to take place through the rest of the year. We also know that testing and masking requirements are going to take place for the rest of the year. You're going to have to wear a mask indoors in certain areas. It's not all the time. It's around crowds, in the casino, waiting areas, elevators. Those areas you have to wear a mask. So it's not everywhere. It's not as bad as what people maybe think that it is. And then the biggest change is testing. If you are going on a cruise before September the 13th, you still have 72 hours to take your test. You have 3 days if you're cruising before September 13th. If you're cruising after September the 13th, that 72 hours is reduced down to 48 hours. It's 2 days. If you're cruising on Sunday, you count backwards 2 days. You have 48 hours to get your test, which makes it tough. It really, really does. It makes it tough, and I will do all I can to share tomorrow how you can get your test, because you're going to have several passengers now who go take their test, and then they pack their bags, they put them in a car, they hop on a plane, they go ahead and start their trip, their travel, and they're waiting on their results. So I will share tomorrow some different ideas on testing. Carnival did share the news that they are trying to at least establish some sort of testing on site. They're not going to be able to accommodate 3,000 people, but there will be testing on site starting very, very soon that you'll have to pay for, but that is an option tomorrow. And I'll put something right here in this video when I release tomorrow's video that you can look at some different testing options. It's tough though. I'm cruising in October, and I'm already thinking, how am I going to get my test? I want it done in the 48-hour window, but I want it done before I leave too. It's going to be tough. It's a tight time frame. Let's get into what ships are returning. This is great news. So many people had cruises booked, and you hope that your cruise and your ship made the list. A lot of people, that was the news for them. Let's get right into what ships are coming back, because there were so many people yesterday that were excited to see that their ship was indeed going to sail. Their cruise was intact, in place, and they are sailing. There were some that were canceled. We will get to those, but let's get to this right here. The Carnival Valor will be back in New Orleans with 4 and 5 day itineraries starting November 1st. That is great to see for the Valor. It's great to see for the city of New Orleans and what everyone has gone through the past week. The Legend will return November 14th out of Baltimore. We already know that Baltimore has some cruise activity, but the Legend's going to replace the Pride, which restarts September the 12th. And the Pride's going to move to Tampa. So the Legend will be there November the 14th. The Radiance, they've had to change her maiden voyage. There were some that were upset about that. They did have to move it just a few weeks, but the new maiden voyage for the Radiance will be December the 13th out of Long Beach, and it was rescheduled from November the 5th. So that's going to be exciting to see too. The Pride, of course, is going to Tampa on the 14th. The Conquest, which was my very first ship ever. It was the honeymoon cruise 10 years ago this year. The Carnival Conquest is going back to Miami, and October 8th is when it was supposed to restart, and so many people were excited. We had several islanders on that first cruise, October the 8th. It's been rescheduled now to December the 13th. So it's been delayed a couple of months there. And the Carnival Sensation, this was a huge surprise. It really was a surprise. It was supposed to start back in October. It's been getting ready. Several of you cruisers in Galveston have seen the Sensation. When you go on your cruise, she's not going to sail the 21st. It's been moved to January of next year. So it's surprising to see, honestly, some of those ships being delayed, but there were also ships that are not going to return. Here are the ships not returning this year. This is a surprise. So with the extension of Carnival Sensations restart, 5 ships operating out of U.S. home ports were moved to 2022. The Carnival Liberty, who sails out of Port Canaveral, one of Carnival's biggest ports right now with the Mardi Gras and the Magic, and of course now the Liberty is going to be there. The Sunshine out of Charleston, the Paradise out of Tampa, the Ecstasy out of Jacksonville, and the Sensation out of Mobile. You will notice that Charleston, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Mobile are smaller ports. They are so, the smallest ports that Carnival operates out of. The bigger ports are getting the attention right now. And part of that is because, if you can keep 2 or 3 ships in a big port, you use the same terminal building, the same staff and crew based on certain days. They may work in one part of the, one terminal one day. They work in another part of the terminal in the port the other day. It just has a good flow. And so they're focusing on big markets. That's obvious. These smaller markets have been moved, delayed or moved to 2022. And so it's going to be interesting to see these ships come back. Carnival's doing everything that they can to make sure that they keep cruising. And they keep saying that, with the change of testing from 3 days to 2 days, people say, why? Well, the CDC recommends it, and it's obvious now that Carnival, Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, they are going by the CDC even when it is optional, or even when the CDC recommends certain things and they're not required. Cruise lines are taking it on. They're taking it on. They're doing it. And those protocols, love them or hate them, they're working. They're keeping us cruising. When is your next cruise? Are you nervous about your test? 2 days now after September the 13th. 2 days to get your test. Are you nervous about it? What are your testing ideas? What is your plan? Something that you share on this video in the comment section below could help someone and ease their anxiety, because maybe they can do the same thing that you're doing. How are you getting your test? Are you getting your test and then starting your travel before you know the results? I'm going to have to do that in October. Let us know your plan in the comments below. If you are not an Islander yet, I totally invite you to subscribe, be a part of this Islander community. We are growing. We put out good content, and we have great Islanders that help us both right here on YouTube and on our Facebook page. Join our Facebook page. It's in the description below. We hope that you have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we will see you tomorrow right here on Island Time.